Right, so it's Sunday morning and there's Fred. So nobody can see him, he's behind all that lot. So for that lot to not be just vandalism, whatever they're planning does actually have to affect the course of Britain in a profoundly positive way, because I mean, in terms of personal security, I suppose this is probably actually better given the state of Birmingham at the moment, but in terms of people visiting the site, it's not exactly great to have this sort of around them if this is their, one and only opportunity to visit the place, because it is at the moment a fairly unpleasant carbuncle being constructed around us. But we'll see. We'll see what they come up with at the end. The benefit, of course, at this point is, as the recordings to Birmingham indicate, it didn't actually matter that Fred isn't physically visible to the naked eye, because if you've been sitting on him planning to siege the city since November of last year, then war planning doesn't actually require the statue of Prince Frederick to actually continue. We can continue legal action, we can continue trying to find criminals with drones and dogs and things, we can continue trying to sort of get West Midlands Police to stop doing theatre performances, we can perhaps try to get Andrew Mitchell a response at some point. We can try and see if there is an honest man in Birmingham from space. So with space age technology, you can effectively sort of shell the city from orbit effectively. So if you've got a sort of general reputation based on the family legal background of being honest, people know that you're not honest deliberately, they know you're honest biologically, so you have an advantage when it comes to legal proceedings. So at the moment, these morons are sort of twisting and turning in space, trying to create fictitious bureaucrats. The fictitious bureaucrat plays the role of the appropriate person in the managerial state who says, "Oh, naughty, naughty, this is very offensive." And we reply, well, the job involves serious violence, which is why we're sort of talking about security, morons. So you're obstructing that, aren't you, by fucking around with laptops? You've been doing that since November of last year, so this is fairly obvious to anybody with 3 brain cells. You don't need to actually be in the legal profession. Think about this for 30 seconds. The place is full of crooks, right? So we've got loads of proximal criminals. I mean, the people sort of attacking me are so imbecilic they're going to get torn apart in front of cross-examining. But it's more sort of the hardened crooks at the top of the organisation, because these people are likely to be extraordinarily violent once their patronage money is taken away, or they're audited, all this kind of stuff. You look at the recent stuff coming out after audits, the money being given to these taxi companies, and you say, well, that's a lot per child. But of course, it's just crime, isn't it? I was speaking to a lady in Birmingham who was saying that the ULEZ cameras money is being stolen effectively, and this is known about, but the city council's not doing anything. Well, I can tell you why that is. A, there's no audit. B, people will violently assault you. So they're attacking the auditors. These are white-collar professionals who just go and sit in offices and go through spreadsheets. But because of the people employed by the local authority, well, it's not people outside, they are at physical risk if they go into the buildings. So when we say we're talking about security, we're talking about military presence effectively, so you would need the residents of Birmingham to know that if any problems arise, there is a rapid response unit that's going to come in and deal with the problem. Now, it's not clear to anyone in the city that's the case, given the levels of violence, but of course this is John Cotton desperately hanging on to power and plunging the city into chaos as a result. Now that cretin's gone and his managing director is on her way out with the bullet in her skull, we can probably actually turn things around quite quickly. But it does involve the sensible information guys getting off their arses and actually going and doing the FOI work. So I keep talking to all these guys who brag about how great their FOI stuff is, but they can't get a kid story off the managing director. So you FOI guys ain't that good, are they? Because you've had several months to actually go and pull that kind of stuff. I can give it to you personally, that you don't need to FOI it. I'm just saying, see if they're honest enough to pull it off a database and explain her behaviour. If they're not going to do that, then she doesn't belong anywhere near the city, does she? She should be immediately removed from her job and banished from the city for good. Because she's a dangerous imbecile. But we, as I say, because people have woken up to how bad the problem is, you've now got lots and lots of bright minds trying to resolve it. Again, the example I was speaking to just casually in the pub is a gentleman talking about his fusion work and using heavier particles to slow down lighter ones, that kind of stuff to create fusion reactors. But you're dealing with that kind of stuff as just sort of the average person just showing up to meetings. Our opponents, I guarantee you, are not that good. They're lazy, they're stupid, they're overweight. This is the problem. They have no physical prowess. So once you capture them by a policeman, they're going to start screaming. But it's more that forcing them into the discussion is what's needed. So you've had to create this sort of battering ram in Birmingham to slam through their email screens. No, someone in the organisation will take responsibility. That person, of course, is the managing director who is refusing. So, again, all the legal inferences that spring from stuff like that could again be reasoned through by a child. The benefit is it doesn't actually require me at all at this point. They could shoot me in the head, ice pick me, whatever they wanted. Because of the evidence into Birmingham servers, a lot of people are going to jail. Right? You can't just pretend this stuff that it doesn't matter, or pull faces, or do all this sort of silly aggression stuff that now passes for sensible decision making in the currently malfunctioning states. But in terms of personal legal proceedings and everything else connected, you're just done, lads. I mean, you may as well give it up now. If you're still sitting on a computer screen sort of listening to this stuff and not sort of calling West Midlands Police, then you really are too stupid to be in your job. And literally any of your colleagues can do it. So I don't know how many we've got left, sort of 7,000 odd, last count. Anybody in the city can do it, anybody in the country can do it, anybody in the world can do it. So if you can find a leisure centre manager in Birmingham who apparently has immunity from prosecution and get her in front of a policeman who explains the sort of reasoning behind that, then the whole thing is going to come crashing down. So it is like a giant Jenga set, and this woman is the final one. We give her a kick, I can guarantee you the whole thing's going to fall apart extraordinarily quickly. That place is going to be swarming with shell searchers doing case audits because it's their job. The local law firm just want money. That's fine by me. They're ethical enough to do that and send crooks to jail. So what these people don't get is because I'm not interested in money, I can sit here in Edinburgh and have fun, and these people can screech and snarl as they go off to Winson Green. I gain no money from this. All I gain is the pleasure of seeing criminals go to jail, as the old man did. And this is why, by the way, we're not a three-star. They weren't a three-star law firm. They're a good law firm because we didn't give a shit. If you're a crook, we don't tolerate liars because we're not going to ruin the reputation of the family or the firm by going along with people who are dishonest. And that includes West Midlands Police. But it took the family 17 years to get into their databases and have a look around. And you've got to think how good that look around has been, given my trajectory within that organisation. So if these idiots think I'm just literally going to vanish into the fog, they're absolutely deluded. But it's because they have no sense of time, right? That's not a variable they're interested in because they want money now. So money now. And as soon as the money runs out, they start screeching. That's not a handicap that we have, right? So we can just go full bore into them. So once again, final word, if you're picking this up on Monday morning, go and fetch police. 101, go to Sutton Police Station, ask them about their theatre performances, maybe they'll show you the guy in the pink tutu, but they can explain all that to the local MP, I'm sure. And the activists running about a compliance department are going to be removed, because I'm telling them that they're going to be removed. The people in the department defer to me, I do not defer to activists, because we're in a compliance department dealing with money and serious violence. Yeah? So if I'm raising concern this person is not legitimate, they've got into the organisation illegitimately because of credentially pathways, effectively, then we're going to go through a process. We're not going to boil the conversation down to a woman with a laptop saying, oh, I'm offended, therefore I don't have to take any action. When it comes to serious misconduct and perverting the course of justice, serious criminal matters, yes, you do. Because you'll go to jail if you try to intervene and slow things down, aren't you? Yes, even slow things down is put you at risk of criminal liability, given the scale of liability that already exists in Birmingham. You think the house price knockout because of that kind of behaviour on its own, infrastructure, all that kind of stuff, and that you're lucky that the guy running your John Cotton's patronage network is actually thinking about security because your morons aren't. You've given me access to the security databases. I know what our security is, and I'm telling you that it's not sufficient. So, again, you can say whatever you want, but until you can address that, you're criminally liable, aren't you? It's not my job. I just have to do it because you aren't. Yeah? So, I will actually stop ranting into a microphone at this point, because it is Sunday, but for Monday, if you have, just in terms of self-preservation, do your job. Go and fetch West Midlands Police. John Cotton's gone, you don't have to defer to that idiot anymore.